Here's the truth nobody's told you straight. The anxiety you can't shake isn't random. It's loneliness, wearing a different name. You can be in a house full of people, on a group text that never stops buzzing, surrounded every single day, and still feel like there is not one single person who actually knows what's going on inside you. That's not just sadness. That's your body running on high alert because it doesn't feel safe. Because somewhere deep down you've decided nobody's really there for you, not fully, not the way you need. So your mind starts doing the work your community was supposed to do. It runs scenarios. It replays conversations. It stays up gaming out worst cases at midnight because it's trying to protect you since it doesn't trust anyone else's. And here's the part that stings the most. You know exactly what's supposed to help. Praying. Actually bringing this to God instead of carrying it alone in the dark. But you keep skipping it. Not because you don't believe it works, because reaching out, even to God, feels like one more risk of being met with silence. If you've been calling that anxiety when it's actually loneliness you've stopped bringing to anyone, including Him, this one's for you. Before we go further, I need you to hear this. You are not as alone as it feels right now. God has not gotten tired of you, and He hasn't been waiting on the other side of a door you're too afraid to knock on. What feels unreachable to you right now is not unreachable to Him, and this video has real good news for you tonight. Here's the voice, and you already know it because it's been running your life for a while now. Nobody actually gets it, so what's the point in trying to explain it again? Everyone's got their own stuff going on. I don't want to be a burden. I could reach out to God about this, but He's got way bigger things going on than my loneliness. I'll feel this way whether I pray about it or not, so why bother? It's easier to just numb it, scroll, stay busy, smile through it than to risk opening up and still feeling this alone on the other side of it. I know that voice because I lived inside it for a long stretch of my life. There was a period where I was around people constantly, work, church, family dinners, and I would still drive home some nights and sit in my car in the driveway before going inside. Just sitting there in the quiet, because for one more minute, I didn't have to perform like I was fine. I had a Bible on the passenger seat that I'd bought with good intentions and barely opened. I remember one night specifically just staring at it, thinking, what's even the point of talking to God about being lonely when He's got an entire world to run? So I didn't. I turned the radio up instead and went inside and smiled at my own family like nothing was wrong. Your driveway might not be an actual driveway. It might be the bathroom at a party, or the walk to your car after church, or the silence right after you hang up the phone. Different scenery, same ache. Same decision to swallow it instead of bringing it to the one who actually wanted to hear it. There's a man in the Old Testament named Elijah who had just experienced one of the greatest victories of his life. He stood alone against hundreds of prophets of Baal, prayed, and God answered with fire from heaven for everyone to see. But after Queen Jezebel threatened to kill him, Elijah fled into the wilderness. Sitting under a broom tree, he prayed, "It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers." He later told God, "I, even I only, I am left." He believed he was completely alone. God didn't begin by rebuking him. Instead, He sent an angel twice to wake him, give him food and water, and let him rest. Later, God revealed Himself not in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper and asked, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Then God told him something Elijah couldn't have known. He had preserved 7,000 people in Israel who had not bowed to Baal. Elijah's loneliness was real, but his belief that he was utterly alone was not. Here's what I think you're actually afraid is true about you. That you are uniquely hard to be close to. That other people have real friendships, real support, and you just weren't built for that kind of connection. That if people really saw the loneliness underneath your smile, they'd confirm what you already suspect, that you're too much or not enough, and that's why you're on the outside. And the quietest one, the one under all the others, that even God, who's supposed to be everywhere, has somehow left you out here by yourself too. I need you to hear that named out loud, because it needs to stop living in the dark where it only gets louder. Here's the truth. Philippians 4 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." Read that again slowly. It doesn't say pray once you've found the right words or once you feel close enough to God to deserve an answer. It says, in every situation, bring it, messy and honest, and let Him guard your heart with a peace that doesn't require you to understand how you got here. You are not the only one left. You were never actually the only one left. The same God who told Elijah about 7,000 others he couldn't see is not unaware of you either. You were just too deep in the loneliness to hear Him say your name. You don't have to fix every relationship in your life tonight or figure out why you feel so disconnected. God isn't asking you to suddenly have a full community by tomorrow. He's asking for one turn, one moment where, instead of swallowing it again, you say it out loud to Him, exactly as lonely and unpolished as it is. Not because you've earned a response, but because you're done pretending numbness is the same thing as peace. You don't have to solve the loneliness tonight. You just have to stop hiding it from the one who's actually been asking to hear it. So here's 4 things to actually do this week. First, tonight, say one honest sentence to God out loud. Something like, "God, I feel so alone, and I don't know how to fix that." Not a polished prayer, just the truth. Because that's the sentence you've been avoiding. Second, reach out to one real person this week. A text, a call, even just, "Hey, can we grab coffee?" Because loneliness grows in the silence and shrinks the moment you reach past it. Third, find one verse about God's nearness, like this one from Philippians, and read it out loud to yourself when the isolated feeling hits hardest this week, as a reminder instead of a rule. Fourth, if your church or a small group crossed your mind while watching this, follow that thought instead of dismissing it. Isolation convinces you community isn't worth the effort, and that's exactly the lie to walk toward instead of away from. Before I close, what is one thing you're laying down this week? Write it in the comments. Just name it, because naming it makes it real, and real things can be surrendered. God, you already know how alone I've been feeling, even in rooms full of people, even on days that looked fine from the outside. I confess I've been carrying this by myself instead of bringing it to you, telling myself you had bigger things to deal with than my loneliness. I'm not asking you to fill every gap overnight. I'm asking you to remind me I'm not the only one left, that you see me and you haven't stepped away. Help me reach toward you and toward the people you've placed around me, instead of retreating into silence. Guard my heart and my mind with a peace I can't manufacture on my own. In Jesus' name, Amen. If someone you know has been quietly carrying this kind of alone, send them this one.